This story begins with a character named Russell Raymond who has come to a very famous museum. The guards there stop him and say that the name Ramon sounds familiar. They think that this name is from a very ancient family which died in a battle a long time ago. Then one of the guards says that it is okay, we have checked you, now you can go. Then the other guard says that why did you let him go? Do you know him? Then he replies that yes, he is from the Ramon family which used to be a very ancient family. Saying this, they let him go and start talking to each other. Then one guard says that but look at his clothes, they are so rich. Then the other guard says that it is possible that the people in the tower have called him so that they can get their work done by keeping him on temporary work. Russell could hear both of them and says that stupid people, I can hear everything. He goes ahead saying this and then he sees the magic tower where all the people are sitting. The protectors of the kingdoms are there. Seeing this, he is saying in his mind that I too had worked so hard to reach here, and here again his backstory is shown to us in which he is explaining that many years ago in a war when I was young, my father left and we had to run away from there towards the palace. I could see that my mother was not dead but we had to go from there. Then I had decided that I will have to do something to come to this tower. Then as soon as I went there, I was thrown out. I was thrown out of the academy even before staying in the tower. I was told that you have failed 3 times. This is happening for the first time in the history of our academy that something like this has happened. Even though you are good in theory, you are not worthy of coming to the second circle. Saying this, I was thrown out from there and here I am told that your human vein narrowing is very weak. My human vein is weak since the time I was born because when I was born, I was very thin and very weak, due to which my manhwa vein became very weak for a table. It is considered as the biggest punishment and his backstory ends by showing this and we are shown that he is waiting for the tower people to call him. He is thinking in his thoughts that what if I am not in the second circle, at least I am in the table. And then some people come from the tower and say that our work is over for today, you people come tomorrow. Hearing this, some people get angry and say that we were waiting here for so long and now you people are saying that we have to come tomorrow, is this some joke? Then one of them says that what can we do now? Then both of them talk about this. One says that we should go towards the museum, some temporary tables are needed there, so maybe we can be useful there. Then they go there after talking about all this. Russell is also listening to them and he says that maybe I should also go, and then they go inside the museum. They go there and the guide who shows them the museum tells them that this is the biggest museum of the entire state. Yes, our museum is the best. He is telling them about each and everything, that this thing of ours is so expensive, this thing of ours is so valuable, many rich people are going to come here from far away in a few weeks, each and everything has been cleaned so thoroughly that you will not find even the slightest dirt in it, and yes, keep one thing in mind, that when you people are working here, not even a single mistake should be made, even a small mistake of yours can increase your payment. Saying this he shows them further things, while those people are talking behind his back that he is such a fake. I feel that everything here is fake, and then Russell comes and stands near a gate, looking at it he says that this place looks familiar, it is written on that door, Fantastic Species Room. He is very surprised after reading this and then he puts a note in his pocket. The ring that was kept there starts vibrating very strongly, then he takes it out and looks at it, he starts thinking why is it vibrating so much, then he opens the gate, and as soon as he opens the gate, it seems as if he is walking by himself, as if something is pulling him towards itself. The rest of the people start thinking again, they say where did Russell go? Where did he go? Where is he? After all they are shouting this, but Russell is inside that room and says that this ring is vibrating a lot, much more than before. Mother, are you trying to tell me something? Please tell me. Here he closes his eyes and starts thinking about the earlier things, and then he remembers that there is a box kept on that side. He goes near it and sees the heart of an ancient dragon, which he opens, and then he sees that this ring looks like the eyes of this dragon. Then he wears it on his finger and sees that the vibration that was happening has now stopped. His ring. As soon as he wears it, he starts feeling a different feeling. He says that now I am remembering everything very well. Maybe he is really saying this when suddenly a very bright light shines from his ring. Then the dragon's eye and the dragon's heart meet and appear. The same ancient dragon tells him that you are the new owner of this thing, you have been chosen, I trust you and make you the new heir of this thing, and you are being given a new chance. And after this the cycle of time breaks. Russell Raymond has a new beginning, and then in the next page we are shown that someone is shouting Raymond's name loudly, and then Raymond says, who is this voice shouting? Who is the one who is taking my name so angrily? But this voice sounds familiar, and then the professor hits a book on his head and then says that your grades are good but don't dare to sleep in my class. Raymond is very surprised to see all this and says that Professor Hubert had died a long time ago. What is all this? He looks around. People around him are laughing at him. He is not able to understand what happened. He is very surprised. He touches his face and then it is revealed that he has returned to his past, the time when he was a child. In chapter number 2, we see that he is in that class and he is thinking that how did I return to my past time? Then his professor says that this cannot be you, but you will still be punished for this. Get out of the class, and saying this, he throws him out of the class. After getting out of the class, Russell thinks that is this some kind of time travel or some kind of magic? This cannot happen, and then Russell thinks about the things that happened before coming back to his past. The arrival of the dragon at that time, the meeting of one eye and one heart, the dragon saying that you have been chosen for this thing, you are getting a second chance. While thinking all this, Russell's eyes go to his hands and he sees that my ring is not there. Did my mother help me in this thing? And then the professor comes from the back gate and looks at Russell. Looking at him, Russell says this can't be you. Because you never used to sleep in class like this. Then Russell says I am sorry. Then the professor says I think we need to talk about this. Come and meet me in my office during lunch break. Then Russell says I understood. Then the professor says I will wait for you. Russell is thinking that yes, all these things used to happen with me but I am feeling good. And then Russell gets a strong punch from behind which is of Frederick, and then Frederick's friend is also about to raise his hand on Russell when Frederick stops him and says wait, professor is watching us. After saying this, he looks at Russell and says I had given you my notes to make right. You must not have made them because you were sleeping in the whole class. Here Russell looks a little surprised, because he had come in his past, so these things were a little shocking for him. He sees this as Frederick. Then Frederick says to him that if you don't want to die then follow me to the bathroom. Saying this, Frederick goes towards the bathroom with his friends. Russell remembers all these things. Then Russell says in his mind that yes, all these things used to happen to me, I remember. Then suddenly a screen shows in front of Russell, a holographic screen in which it is written that escape from bullying, teach these three what is bullying. Asal is surprised here and he touches the thing and thinks that is this thing, some kind of illusion or something else. Then from a distance Frantic calls out, hey, are you coming with us or do you intend to run away? Remember, we are in the academy so you cannot run away, or if you are so scared then you can try to run away. Then here we see Russell saying, okay, let's keep the mission aside, now I will teach them what is real bullying. For so many years I have been a mercen's son. Living life is nothing compared to that. I remember how I killed those dragons and these people are not even equal to that. And here we are shown in the next clip that Frederick, who was waiting in his bathroom, looks at Russell and says finally you have come, you worm. And then Russell says in return yes, I have come, you number one bastard. Hearing this, Frederick's friend says this chick is cooked. Does he think he has to come? Tell me. Saying this, he moves forward forcefully towards Russell to hit him, and then Russell easily dodges his punch and comes close to his ears and says you missed, and then hits him with a strong punch in his stomach and throws him away. Seeing this, Frederick's third friend also moves forward shouting, and then without giving him any chance, Russell hits him with a strong punch on his face. Seeing all this, he is a little surprised and says, ah, really, you used some magic? No, that means you have come here after learning this cheap martial art, and what can be expected from a fallen family? You cannot use any magical power here inside the academy, but you can definitely see these magical powers being used. We should get ready to die. Saying this, Frederick turns towards Russell to kill him and says, oh. Then Russell catches his hand. Frederick is unable to understand what happened, and then Russell starts twisting his hand backwards saying, Ma Frederick, yes. Frederick sits down on his knees screaming in pain. Then Russell reminds him of his words. Frederick told Russell that you have been left behind, your brother in rankings, and your family also dislikes you. Saying this, Russell tells him one more thing. If your opponent is strong then you behave gently in front of him, but if he is weak then you bully him. A mean and vile person. After Russell says this, we are shown in the next clip that Russell is very angry and he says to Frederick, how dare you say this about my family? Frederick is completely nervous. He says, wait, listen to me. Russell says no to him and punches him hard and knocks him down. Then while leaving from there, Russell tells him, and yes, if you don't want to die, then behave well next time. Saying this, Russell leaves from there and sits down at a place. Russell was very tired and he thinks that should I go out of this place? My eyes are also filled with sleep, and then again that screen is shown in front of him. Holographic screen in which it is written that lowest grade magic stone consume Bale. Then he sees a small stone type thing in his hand. And then again that screen is shown in which it is written, consume Bale. Russell is a bit surprised to see this. Now he is surprised because he is being told here that you have to eat this stone. Russell is thinking after looking at the stone whether he should eat it or not, because even the tribals of old times did not eat such stones. Then again a screen is shown in front of him in which it is written that no, you can eat it. Russell eats that stone and then says that its taste is not that good. It is not bad. Here again the screen is shown in which it is written that lowest grade man stone consumed, which means that you have taken the lowest grade man stone inside you. Then suddenly something happens in Russell's heart, and then it is told that the stone is getting absorbed in Russell's heart. After the piston is absorbed, Russell says that in this way I will go beyond manhwa ring. After saying this, Russell remembers some things from his backstory and tells us that the problems on my family, expelling me from the academy, being a Marson of the 3rd Res, well, I will change all these things now. After saying this, we are shown in the next clip that Russell goes to Professor Hubert's office, as Professor Hubert had told him in the morning during the class. Then Russell says excuse me, in which the professor says, sit down Russell, you were not like other days today, what happened, are you facing any problems, I also heard some things. It is that your classmates bully you, in which Russell was thinking in his mind that yes, Professor Hubert was like that, he was the only one who cared for me so much in my previous life, but I wanted to tell this to him for a long time, after which Russell smilingly tells the professor that no, there is nothing like that, you don't need to worry. Then the professor says that such a professor, it is my duty to take care of my students. Okay, it's okay. By the way, you slept in the class today, so you will get a little punishment for this, and it will not be so easy. You will have to write an analytical report which will be of 60 to 70 pages. After saying this, the professor gives a book to Russell, and then the screen is shown in front of Russell in which it is written that complete the mission given by Professor Hubert. This is your next mission. As soon as it is completed, you will also be given a reward. After reading this, Russell is thinking in his mind whether an assignment is also a part of the mission. Then Professor Hubert from there he says what happened, is it seeming difficult? Then Russell says no, thank you, and here the clip changes and we are shown that Russell is doing the same assignments and is saying that these assignments are not that difficult. By the way, in my previous life, due to my weak skill in rowing, I lost all those things, so this time I will achieve everything by working hard. Even though I worked as a manger, I did not stop my studies. But in this life, along with studies, there are some other important things. And then here again the clip changes and on the screen we are shown that the Mon of Vane is training, and we get to see that Russell is fighting with a monster. Along with this, we are told some things about the Mon of Vane here, which is that the Mon of Vane is directly connected to your heart. When the energy of your body increases while running and your breath becomes heavy, then all the Mon of Vane goes to your heart and collects it. This happens, and with the help of this you can give a proper reversal attack. Russell, who was fighting with that monster for so long or say was escaping, uses his full mana ring and does a reversal attack on that monster, but still nothing happens to that monster, and then that monster hits Russell with his back tail and throws him into a stone far away. He goes and throws it, and then the ground breaks under Russell's feet, after which Russell falls down, and then he gets up and he sees in front of his eyes a very bright light in which he sees 2 books, in which the name of one book is Overpain and the name of the other book is Wizard Body, which was hidden at a place in history about which no one knew till date. And then with this Russell goes and takes the book, and here once again the clip changes in which Russell is telling us about Overvein and Wizard Body. Overvein affects our physical body in the form of Mana Vein, and Wizard Body which affects our muscle tissues. In different words, the more strength and body you have, the more you will find Mana Vein inside you. Then Russell explains a little about his past life and says that in my past life, in growing age, I found someone special inside me. I had not seen any changes, but now I am able to see that special change in my increasing age, and this time I will go beyond my mana narrowing. After Russell says this, we are shown that Russell is working hard, he is exercising very hard, and then Russell gets a little tired and says that now I cannot do it anymore, this is enough for today, and then suddenly that screen is shown, seeing which Russell says that hey friend, this was the only thing that was missing, and this time the mission says that you will have to work hard for the magical powers of ancient times, you will have to run 5 kilometers and you will have to run at least once every day on a daily basis. Along with this, the distance of your running will also keep changing in between, and as soon as you complete all these things, then you will never get to see these missions further. Then after reading this message, Russell becomes very happy and says what a thing, now I will run harder. And I will not let this opportunity go, I cannot stop so soon. After saying this, Russell starts running with all his might, but then his legs start paining very badly, seeing which he stops a little and says that now I cannot run anymore. Then the screen shows again in which it is written 3.9 kilometers, seeing which Russell thinks that no, only a little more is left, I have to run. Then Russell runs with all his might, then the mission is completed and then he is very tired, so he lies down on the ground and says that now how will I go back to the academy? Now I will not be able to walk even a single step, and Frederick is watching all this secretly and says, what's the matter, Russell Raymond? In the beginning of chapter number 4 we get to see that Russell has completed the work given to him by Professor Hubert. Then Professor Hubert says to Russell, I can't believe you did this work, and that too only and only with the books of the academy. You did all this yourself, right? Hearing this, Russell says, yes, I can guarantee Manhwa, Professor Hubert. Says Manhwa, he seems very confident about this thing. Then Professor says to Russell, okay, I agree with your work. Here we see the screen again, and this time there is a message that to increase your magical powers you have to increase your ability to understand. Seeing this, then Russell thinks in his mind that it means the more my ability to understand will be, the more powerful I will become. Then Professor Hubert says to Russell, okay, you did a good job, now you can go on. Hearing which Russell says, wait a bit, I have to ask you one more question. Then Russell asks him about the faculty library, that I can read those books on. Hearing which Professor Hubert says, according to me the books of the student library will be enough for us. Russell says, no, I have read all of them. Then the professor says, I have read them all. Russell says, yes. Then the professor says, this is such a surprising thing, let's assume that you have completed the work, but the faculty library has nothing to do with it. No problem, I would like to see whether you are eligible for this or not. Then Russell says, okay, this is better, and then a screen shows here, in which it is written that you have completed Professor Hubert's assignments, our mission is complete. Then the clip changes here and we see ourselves standing in a place like a park. We are thinking all this in our mind, that who knew Professor Hubert would give us so much work. But no problem, here Russell is saying something about magic power, so those who have more understanding of the theory, their magical powers will be more according to them. Then I will have to get all the information from the faculty library in any case, and it may be a little difficult. Then Russell has a small bottle in his hand, which he is drinking openly. Then suddenly Frederick and his friends come. Then Frederick says to Russell, Russell Raymond, you don't know what troubles my friend had to face because of you. Frederick's friend's name here is actually Anton Frederick. Then Russell says, so have you come here to take revenge? Then Frederick says, revenge for all those things, and don't fool yourself, why would I waste my time taking revenge for a small thing? Rather I will just enjoy spoiling your work. Okay, then let's meet in the class. Saying this, Frederick leaves from there with his friends. Then they are talking about the same thing. What happened, Frederick? Why didn't you hit him there? Frederick says, hey, you are stupid. There are not so many people here, so it won't be fun. Then Russell is thinking about Frederick's words. What did he mean by let's meet in the class? After all, the clip changes here and we are shown that scene about which Frederick was talking. The class about which Frederick was talking, Practical Magic Combat Studies, and Asal remembers all this, and then he is thinking that the class where their grades are measured after using their magical powers, and in which I have been losing every time in my previous life, in which I have been losing every time I was insulted. I can't believe how stupid I am. I forgot about this. Okay, then I have to be prepared for this thing in any way. Saying this, the same holographic screen is shown in front of Russell, in which it is written that achieve the second circle, for which you have to understand all the things properly. And then in the next scene we get to see that Russell is completing all the assignments given by Professor Hubert, and in this way every mission given by Professor Hubert gets completed. And then the scene changes here and we are shown that Russell is in his room and there are many mana stones lying in front of him, looking at which Russell is saying that these mana stones are ready, but will my mana stone be able to handle all these stones? Okay, I just have to trust it, because after all I have done so much training. Then Russell will not be able to handle all those stones. He eats the stones at once and a very bright light starts shining from inside it, in which he feels as if his body is burning, and he says that I have to control it by any means, and I have to create another chakra to balance it. No matter what happens, if I am not successful in this thing, then my heart will stop beating right here. As soon as he says this, we are shown that Russell is controlling him in some way or the other, and he says that I just have to do it by any means. I have to create another chakra. I can do this. And then a very bright light shines, which also goes out of his windows. Then Russell falls on the ground and says that I have done it. I have created another chakra. Finally, Russell also faints there, and then the clip changes and we are shown Professor Hubert's office, where Professor Hubert is telling Russell that it is amazing, I can't believe it. You did this, after which the professor asks a question to Hubert Russell and says I would like to ask you a question. It will not be as easy as the previous questions because this question will be about the truth. Then the professor asks Russell a question and says that 4 things are needed to make magic, out of which is the most important thing, to which Russell answers easily. The professor gets very surprised and thinks in his mind that he said the right thing. For the first time I am asking the answer of a question from a student, which I myself did not know. Meaning here the professor had asked such a question about which he himself did not know and Russell answered that thing very easily, due to which he was very shocked. Then he says okay I would like to ask you the next question, but before he could say this, Russell says that yes I know the answer of this also. Then the professor gets more surprised and stands up from his seat and thinks in his mind that he has known all the questions. Do you know the answers? Professor Hubert asks him a lot of questions, which Russell answers easily. Then Professor Hubert is very clever here, then he asks him a question. What do you think, Russell, what is magic? In which Russell, that is, our main character, is telling the professor one thing in detail, that magic is that which keeps us connected to the real world by using mana. And it is said that it has 4 levels, the first of which is assimilation, in which you learn some things about phenomena, and the second is mental image, in which it happens that if you think of something according to your mind and create it in your mind, then that kai will change into existence as your mana, that is, as the powers of your mana, and the third is construction. In this, it is told how you can work on mental image, that is, we are told all the processes of mental image in this, due to which mental image is formed, and the fourth is the last stage. Manifestation is the magic that comes from the world of existence which we use as a formula. Understanding construction and manifestation, these are all just things that you can learn from books or with a little effort on your part. You can learn it, but on the other hand, mental image is very different and you have to put in a lot of effort to learn it, where you cross the capacity of your mind and reach that capacity where you can control the mental image. Here, controlling means that you are able to control it properly in your mind, like I have this fireball in my hand, but if I think in my mind that it is an arrow, then it will change into that, or if I think of something else, then it will change into that thing as well. And if I do not put emphasis on my mental visualization, that is, if I do not put efforts in my mind and think properly, then nothing will happen, that is, I cannot create anything which does not even exist in this world. It is a very strange thing, just like sunlight is falling on something and its shadow is visible, or say like a hot ice, then this is called magical power. After listening to all this, the professor said Hubert gets very impressed with Russell and says that this child is very good, he is exactly as I had thought, for him the student library would be a very small thing. After the professor says this, the screen is shown in which Russell's mission is completed, but he gets a new mission. Then the clip changes and it is shown that Russell has come to the library about which he was talking to the professor this morning, and then Russell, looking at the structure or many things there, says that this library looks very expensive, it is completely different from the student library, and here he finds the magical book which he had come to find, and the name of the book is Intensive Magic Button, and the name of this book means that all the things related to magical powers are written in it, the things which Russell was looking for. Then Russell sits and starts reading it, what all things are there in it, theory, and then Daria Snow White enters, who is the master of this flame tower, and she says from behind Russell that it seems you are reading an interesting book. Here Russell gets a little surprised and turns back and says who are you? Then she comes forward and says child here. Then Russell looks at her and recognizes that this is Daria Snow White, the master of this flame tower. Russell bows his head and says that it is nice to meet you, I am Russell, the master of the flame tower, Raymond. Here we are told some things about Daria, or rather we are told about her magical powers. Her mana chakra is up to the 8th circle, and there is hardly anyone else in the world who has been able to reach this far, and moreover, she maintains her beauty in this way due to the high usage of her mana, and due to these reasons, she is called the master of the tower, who comes in the best ranking. Then Miss Daria says, oh so you know me, but Russell has this in his mind, he is thinking that why is he here. Then Daria says hey there is no need to be nervous, I am also like you, or you can say your friend. And then she gives something like candy to Russell, or I guess we can call it candy. Then while leaving she is saying that you are a student and how can you come to this library of the professor, to which responding our main character i.e. Russell says yes I have come here with the permission of the professor. Then Miss Daria says well he said so. Then Miss Daria while leaving with a smile on her face is saying that he is definitely learning something special, extremely pure means there is definitely something special in this boy. Then Russell is thinking in his mind that did he find out something. Then here Miss Daria says there is no need to worry, I did not come here to give you any lecture, okay so now I am leaving, work hard on yourself child. Saying this Miss Daria leaves from there. Then Russell says that He comes out of the library and is thinking that I had not thought that I would meet him here. This was quite unexpected. Just then Anton Frederick and some of his friends are passing by and look at Russell and say, "Is this Russell? What is he doing outside Professor Hubert's library? What does he think of himself? He must have flattered the professor, otherwise he would not have such a status that he could reach here. Try your best," although this too is not going to be of any use. Saying this, Frederick and his friends leave from there. Then the scene changes here and we get to see a big ground. Real situation magic battle studies. Here this is the name of that ground or the name of that game which was going to happen here. Then here a man like a commander is reading something from a paper and saying that the student whose name will be taken to come to this stadium can select his opponent himself. Professor Tun is weak here, they will choose a student and that student will choose his opponent as per his equal. Then Russell sits and thinks that in my previous life I was always chosen first and the people around me are talking that as per my perception Russell will be chosen first, Rasul will be chosen, he is the weakest, this, that etc. all these things are being said. Then the one who is reading all this out loud says, okay, calm down, now I am going to take the name. Well yes, forgive me for one thing, here I said a man like a commander, actually he is Professor Tent. Then Professor Tent says. Then the name that came up is Anton Frederick. The rest of the people there start thinking that how can Anton Frederick be that? First of all, here we are shown closing the scene in which Frederick is slowly saying thanks professor to the professor. The scene zooms like the professor in which he is saying that this is nothing compared to the merchant association given by Frederick, and then after Frederick comes to the stadium, looking at Russell he says, "Hey, why are you still sitting there?" Russell Raymond chapter number 6 starts from Professor Hubert's office where Professor Hubert is talking to Daria. Professor Hubert says, "Teacher, if you were coming then you should have told me." Then Miss Daria says, "Hey, okay, no problem, it is not a big deal to meet your student in this manner." So that boy is named Russell. The boy is your student who has a pass entry to that library. While answering which the professor gets a little nervous and says, "Yes, what happened? Has that boy done something wrong?" Then Miss Daria says, "Oh no, it is not like that, rather I have seen such a boy after so long." And while answering this Professor Hubert bows his head and says, "You are right Miss Daria, Russell has not yet reached the stage. His mana narrowing is also very weak." Then Miss Daria says, "You are a fool." Professor Hubert says, "What?" Then Miss Daria says, "There is something different in his overcam mana van." Then Professor says, "What do you mean?" Then Miss Daria tells him that Russell has also made a second circle, hearing the answer of which the professor gets surprised. Then he says he has made a second circle. Then here the scene directly changes and we are taken to the place where Anton Frederick had challenged Russell. Then a screen is shown in front of Russell in which it is written that win during this magic training and this is your mission. Then Russell thinks in his mind that the attack that Frederick had done on me in the apartment with his magical powers was not that special, because if you look at it, the more you collect the man stone, the more your magical powers will increase. Then Frederick calls out from below and says, "Hey worm, you don't want to come down, has your body become stiff? Look, if you don't want to die, then beg me for forgiveness." Then Russell smilingly says, "I'm sorry and I will ask you for forgiveness." As soon as he says this, a fire flame rises on Russell's whole body which looks very cool and amazing. Along with this, both of them are very angry with each other. Then from a distance, the voice of the main head of that place comes that "Go back to your place, the match will start only when I say so." Then with this the match starts and Frederick is very surprised. He is saying that it is impossible to make a second circle with someone's man Roin, and with this Frederick makes his first attack, circle magic flame throw. Then on the other side Russell makes a beautiful shield in front of himself, seeing which the main head there is very surprised and says, "I can't believe he made such a thin shield, that too to protect himself from a fire throw." Then here we are shown the same bad professor who had chosen Anton Frederick to come first in this field. Then we get to see a lot of surprise on his face. He says, "Russell Raymond, did he keep all his powers hidden till now?" Only after this we are shown the direct fight scene where Frederick and Russell are fighting very badly, in which not Russell's but Frederick's condition had become very bad. Frederick was trying with all his might but his magical powers were also getting weak here. Taking advantage of this thing, Russell starts his fight here. The fire arrow hits Frederick with force and Frederick does not understand what happened suddenly. Frederick is just thinking, that, has Russell really gained control over the second chakra as well? An insect cannot do this. This is not a big deal. Then suddenly it is shown that Russell has made his second fire arrow as well. Seeing this, Frederick is badly injured and then Russell attacks with his second fire arrow with great force. Seeing this the professors there are very surprised and ask how did he make the second fire arrow so quickly. Then one of the professors says that no, I do not think that double casting has been done. Rather, Russell's speed has increased so much here that we are feeling double casting. Then again we are shown the scene of the fight here where Frederick is injured and he is thinking that has he really got so much power that this second fire arrow can kill me, but it is okay, I have only one. After saying that there is a way, Frederick creates a shield, circle magic protection from fire, after seeing which Russell gets shocked on his face. And he smiles even better and says that this is what I was waiting for. On the other hand, the stupid Frederick is thinking that this way I will be saved and his arrow power will reduce and then I will win. But here, Russell cancels his fire arrow and immediately creates a wind arrow, seeing which Frederick gets badly injured. Seeing all this, the professor there is very shocked and says that is this the same old Russell or someone else, and here in the field, Frederick has lost very badly almost, but then suddenly the screen flicks and we are shown that Russell has come to him with great speed, making his punch and hitting him hard. Frederick's condition had gone from bad to worse. Seeing this, the same professor who was with Anton Frederick stands up and says that what kind of magic is this? This match should be stopped right here. From behind, our Professor Hubert says, look carefully at Russell and see him. The fire flames that are visible on his body are proof of the fact that this fight was done with magical powers. This also clearly shows that his mental power has increased a lot, and I don't know how he reached this stage, but finally he did it. Now in chapter number 1 we see that the punch that Russell gave him was so powerful that Frederick collides with a wall and enters the wall, I mean halfway. Seeing this, all the spectators are shocked. Then the same professor who has chosen Anton Frederick is thinking, how can this happen? Then from behind our Professor Hubert says, what happened? What are you waiting for? Let us declare the winner of this match. Then he says yes, okay, so the winner is Russell Raymond. Russell stands here with great style and great status, and then the same professor comes from behind and says, very good, now you can go from here. Russell says no, it is not over yet. The professor says, what do you mean? Then Russell says, according to the rules of the class, a player does not leave until he has accepted defeat. Then Russell chooses his next opponent and showing his hand towards the audience, he says, you come next. However, at that time we are not shown anything more. He has chosen someone because the clip changes here and we are shown the scene of Professor Hubert's office where Professor Hubert was thinking about all the things that happened during that match, like winning for the 4th time in a row, his progressing so quickly. Seeing all this, our main head professor was also very surprised. He can guess by looking at Russell that how much further he can go. Professor Hubert was thinking that how did Russell Raymond progress so quickly? Here the scene changes and we are shown where Russell was changing his dress and the mission was in front of him. One comes and the same screen is shown and then a purple circle opens in front of him. Seeing this, Russell thinks whether it is of some compartment app. Then Russell puts his hand in it and looks inside it. He finds a map inside it. He is unable to understand why he got this map. Then a screen is shown in front of him in which it is written that go to that location through the given map and complete the mission. Roshni will show you your way. Russell gets a little confused after seeing all this and then he starts thinking whether he will have to achieve the 3rd circle through this thing. The third circle, although I have done all these things before, but I don't think I will be able to do it this time, and where is this place which is being shown in this map? Then he tries to take help from Professor Hubert's library where he reads in many books about where this location can be. He reads many books about it but does not get any clue about where this place is. Then he comes out of there and is tired and is thinking that I have wasted a lot of my time here. Then outside, all the people who were in the ground when the match was going on, Russell and Frederick are talking about Russell, but Russell is thinking in his mind that even though I have freed myself from being bullied, but in the end I am alone. Then the professor comes from behind and says, Russell Raymond, will you come with me for some time? I wanted to talk to you a little. Russell says yes, why not, then. Here the scene changes and the scene of the professor's office is shown where the professor is telling him that summer vacation is near. So Russell, do you have any plans, etc., to which Russell replies that no, there are no plans right now. Then Professor Hubert says then okay, I think you should help me in one of my research projects. Russell comes. I did not understand anything. Then the professor says that it will depend on your work that how much better you can do. Then Russell's eyes fall on that book kept on the table. Then Russell picks it up and looks at it. Then he understands. What was that thing which he was searching for a long time? He was looking for the map which was kept on the table of the professor. Then he picks it up and then he understands where he has to go. Then the professor says from there, Russell, are you listening to what I am saying? Then Russell says, excuse me professor, I have a lot of plans in these summer vacations. Then the professor says, hey, but you just said that you don't have any Plans. Then Russell says, excuse me, but I have to leave from here right now. Saying this, Russell leaves from there, and the place where Russell is going is Maldives. Then the scene changes and it is shown that Russell is going to Maldives sitting on a vehicle, and this journey was very long for him, so he thinks that this is going to be a long journey, so I should eat something. Then that purple-colored sphere appears in front of him again, in which he puts his hand and takes out some gemstones, which he eats and says that this will not satisfy the hunger but it will do the job, we will get out of there. The person driving this vehicle is being shown to him. He was very troubled by the heat and says yes, it is so hot today, and after Russell hits the stone the speed of that vehicle increases a lot, in which the man thinks, wow, what a thing. Then Russell, here he is thinking that I have to make the third round before reaching Maldives. Here again the scene changes and we are shown the scene of the professor. The professor is thinking, what a strange thing. He is also going to Maldives. There must be some good reason for this, and the person whom Russell is going to meet must be in Maldives. So chapter number 8 starts with a beautiful sea about which Miss Daria is telling that her hometown was always beautiful and it has been a very long time since she came here because she does not get time due to making magic presentations of her tower, in which she had to teach a lot to her students too. Here the scene changes and that scene is shown where Miss Daria was telling her students about some magical powers. Here Miss Daria is seen telling her students about the circle of powers. 9 sixes. Now what does it mean? Miss Daria tells that 9 means that it symbolizes the end of the person who is walking on the path of magic. 6 means that it symbolizes the completion of the 6th circle of magician and the suffering he has to go through to become a great magician. 3 and now it means that it symbolizes the beginning of a person being alone as a magician. You are alone, aren't you? After saying this, Miss Daria thinks of Russell. She says, the boy whom I met in the library, I hope he is fine, Russell Raymond. As soon as Miss Daria says this, we are shown in the next scene. Russell has reached that place. Then the man who was driving that vehicle gets down and says, sir, we have reached. Sir, why are you not coming out? Look, sir, now you can go. This is enough for him. After that, and Russell not responding from inside, the man opens the gate and gets surprised and shouts, sir, because our main character Russell had fainted due to hunger. Here the scene switches and Russell is seen eating a lot of things and is saying that I have to eat all the things to maintain my mana and increase my strength, and finally I achieved the 3rd chakra as well, and if we think, I crossed my limit and did it in just a few minutes, but I should not be happy with just this much, I have to do a lot more in future. Actually, while looking at that map, he seems quite confused and is thinking that whatever happened, now I have to go to the address given on this map. But where is this place, and this is my first trip? And then he hears a voice from behind, go to Paplo Volcano tour with a great guide. There is a guide here who takes people to new places. He takes him around and tells him about those places. He is shouting all these things. Along with this, he also tells that there is a special discount today. Here, the scene changes once again and the guide is telling him about that place. According to the ancestors, Pompello used to be a simple mountain which turned into a volcano because a special creature came and started living here, and there was only one creature like him in this whole world, and that was a red dragon. Russell finds all these things a bit childish, and when he sees all these things, he thinks that maybe it will be better for me to leave from here. He secretly leaves from there and goes down the mountain and then stands in front of a beautiful waterfall. Then Russell says that the reason for my return is those rewards in the mission given by me, and these must have some connection with that dragon. Then whatever is in Russell's hand, he will definitely get that reward. There is a map from which a yellow-colored light comes out shining and goes inside the waterfall at a high speed. Seeing this, Russell understands that okay, this light was being talked about, as it was said in the mission that a light will show you your way. So that thing is behind this waterfall. Then he throws his arrow at the waterfall with full force, and then he enters the circle inside the waterfall very fast. Russell understands that this thing is behind the waterfall. After entering the waterfall, he says that he thought that something like lava or something like that will come out from inside this waterfall, but there is nothing like that here, and I think not many people will know about it, and I was told that you cannot try until you reach the 3rd circle, but here I can't see even a single dragon or any monster. With this, Russell moves forward and reaches a secret underground place, or rather he reaches a secret underground place. It was looking very old. With this, Russell's eyes go to a gate where the light he saw is shining. Seeing this, Russell says, I don't know where you were till now, I was in your pursuit since so long. Russell finds the place here which he was searching for in his map since so long. And here, Russell is slowly moving towards that place. While moving forward, he starts thinking about some things in a nervous manner, like what? I forgot all those things that were in Merson's life. I became so relaxed that I thought that there can be no dragon or monster in this place, and then suddenly Russell moves backwards and just in front of his face there is a big Komodo dragon, and then it moves very fast towards Russell, and here some things break. We are not shown what happens here. The Komodo lizard attacks Russell, and then Russell escapes from that attack, and then he thinks in his mind that this is the same lizard that two mercenaries teams were trying to defeat, and only then he lost. But at this time all I can do is to run away, and then he runs towards that gate, and then to stop the lizard for some time he retaliates, in which he says second circle lightning arrow, and by doing this he throws it fast towards the lizard, but nothing happens to the lizard. Then Asal thinks that at least this time it can be stopped for some more time, which will give me a chance to escape. Asal runs towards that stone gate, but suddenly the soldiers there who were made of stone block Russell's way, and a voice is heard in which he says, "Prove that you are worthy of entering inside it or not," seeing which Russell says, "What is this nonsense now?" On the other hand, that lizard is running very fast towards Russell. Seeing this, Russell says that okay, I probably won't be able to cross it in this way, and neither can I avoid it, so okay, I have to prove it to them, actually by using his mana power, circle magic fire bolt. With this he creates a fire arrow top, and on seeing this, the lizard which was running so fast also stops and bows its head in front of Russell. Russell gets a little surprised to see what happened. Why did it stop then? The light of that gate shines from behind, and then a voice comes that you have proved yourself, and that light was so bright that it slightly affects Russell's eyes. Then Russell, holding his eyes, says yes. My eyes. Then after this Russell enters inside that gate, but then he sees that what is this place of snow? After all, I was just in a tunnel-like place. Then Russell's eyes fall on an object which was very big in appearance and was shining very much as if it was a broken part of something, and before Russell could think or understand anything after seeing it, the mission screen is shown in front of him, in which it is written defeat all the ice golems in the area and clear the trial of fire, which means defeat all those monsters made of ice. Then the dolls made of ice around there start moving. Russell looks back and says these are ice golems, and this is what they say. He thinks that I have to defeat all of them. Then Russell uses his magic power and throws fire on them, but as per the order, they will die only when they attack their core, but Russell's attack is able to give them only a crutch. Then Russell says that shit, my attack gave them only a scratch. After all, what made these snow dolls? Russell is also thinking that if fire is not working, then maybe I will have to use wind, but before Russell can use wind, those monsters come in front of him, due to which Russell is not able to say what was said earlier by using wind power, but still Russell shows his hand towards that monster and says half the mantra. Lightning, but nothing happens and that monster attacks, but then Russell escapes from that attack. Then Russell is thinking about the message that he got in the mission clear the trial of fire, that is, Russell understands that maybe I will have to use fire. We have to defeat him with the help of firepower, and probably I cannot use any other powers without firepower, and this is what everyone is thinking when from there that monster attacks with one more attack and then hits Russell with a strong hand, and Russell collides with a wall and Russell gets injured, but still he moves forward towards them. But when we see Russell moving forward here, he looks very angry. His eyes have become completely red, and this happens when he uses his mana powers, which that he had created a fire bolt here with the circle magic, and then looking at them angrily says that okay, I will do this. And then in the beginning of chapter number 10 we are shown that 3 fire bolts hit the ice doll which Russell had hit, and this kills one doll, but then Russell is thinking in his mind that one is gone now, the rest are at 3 o'clock. But one more thing, in this way my mana will get finished very soon. I will have to think of some other way. Then those ice dolls attack him, but Russell escapes from them and says that to finish them I will have to remove their thick layer of ice, and I will have to focus on one such thing. And then Russell understands what he has to do. He says that first of all I will have to go away from them so that I can say the mantras before using those powers, and then I will have to start with my fire arrow first. And then I have to put them all together through the formula of amplification. First, I will make 5 parts of my fire bolt and finally merge them together. Then Russell is trying his best to unite them through the formula of compression. As we can see in this scene, he is putting a lot of effort into it, and on the other hand, the monster is coming to kill him, but Russell puts all his effort into uniting it, and then suddenly he attacks the monster, but then Russell is pointing the fire bolt in his hand towards the monster and shouting something, and then a strong light flashes, and then the scene turns and it shows that the monster is split in half from the middle. You can say half, or there is a hole in the middle of it. The thing is the same. He dies and Russell moves forward towards the rest of the monsters holding his fire bolt, and along with this, he looks very angry and very cool too. Then the mission screen is shown here which says, "Very good, you are understanding the aspect of fire very well." Then Russell looks at the fire bolt in his hand and says, "Yes, I can feel it. The power I am feeling from it seems to be of the 5th circle, and I have to keep it intact and move forward. Okay, let's start." Saying this, Russell moves forward and simultaneously knocks down 3 monsters. Then he comes in the middle of the remaining 4 monsters and says that now only 4 more are left. He is killing them very easily. He knocks down 2 more monsters here as well, and then along with this, he cuts the 3rd one in the middle and kills it right there. Then as soon as he stops and says that only 1 is left, suddenly that last one attacks Russell. Then Russell goes away and collides with a wall. I am about to die. I would have been killed if I had not made a shield through my powers, and now I have only 1 last mana preet left and I will have to do it with this. So okay, then this will be my last attack. Saying this, Russell throws his last attack towards that monster, and luckily his attack works and this monster also gets killed here. I have done this, and with this saying this he falls unconscious there itself. This chapter starts with that horn, which was shown to us in chapter number 9. So what happens here is that a little light starts shining from the horn which was tied to the chain, and then the chain breaks, and with this fire flames start coming out of that horn whose light is very bright. So bright that Russell, who was lying unconscious, also gets up, and yes, when that chain was breaking through the flame of that horn, then a message is also shown on the screen in which it is written that you will get this as a reward. He is given the horn of the Forgotten King, that is, the horn which has a lot of power of fire flames. Then we return to where we were earlier. The light of that horn shines so brightly that even Russell wakes up from that light. But then when Russell opens his eyes, he finds himself in a different place where he is tied with a lot of chains, and the same messages are showing on the screen, in which it is written that you are given the horn of the Forgotten King as a reward, and according to the rules, get inside it. After which Russell says that the horn of the Forgotten King, rather it seems to be the horn of a dragon to me, and is this really a reward, because I feel as if I am being tortured. After Russell says this, then a voice comes which says that the one who endured the fire test and reached the thoughts of an excellent creature. Then Russell says that these are the remaining thoughts of me. So it feels like my head will also burst apart. Then we hear the same voice again which says, I wish you all the best, Raja Anj, and then from the front comes the horn in which very strong flames were rising. Before Russell can think or understand anything, that horn comes and enters his stomach. Russell screams very loudly due to the pain. Here again we hear the same voice which says, please use these powers properly. So here we go back to the scene where Russell screams very loudly. Due to pain, the light is very bright, very bright. Here we get a glimpse of the dragon whose head was in that scene. Then the scene changes and we are shown a beach scene where Russell is lying, and then he is getting up after becoming unconscious, and while getting up he is saying that what place is this now, Maldives? What happened there at that time? Then here the screen is shown which tells Russell that you have consumed the haven of the king who was called, and the limit of your mana power has increased a lot. So here we can see that he is able to feel his powers. A very bright light starts shining around him which looks very cool, and then Russell is saying that is this really my mana power? I feel as if I am very close to the 4th chakra. Well, this reward was quite good. It is good as compared to the things that used to happen with me before. After Russell says this, a voice comes from behind which is of Miss Daria. She says that it is good to see you here. Russell Raymond Asal gets a little surprised, and looking at her he thinks Miss Daria Snow White. Then here the scene changes and the scene where Miss Daria and Asal are talking is shown, where Miss Daria is saying to him that I felt that an explosion of human powers happened, that is why I came to see it. Then he replies like this and says yes, thank you. I also did not think that I would meet you here. Then here Miss Daria is able to see Russell by doing some scanning type thing that he has come very close to the 4th chakra. This boy turned out to be a very great genius. Then Russell asks Miss Daria a question that, Traver Master, why are you here in the mall? To which Miss Daria replies that there are many people who do not know this. Actually this place is like my village for me, my hometown. Russell is your hometown. Then Miss Daria tells Russell that yes, I come here every summer vacation, but Russell, who have brought you here? Then Russell thinks in his mind that it would be too early to tell them everything at this time, after which Russell changes his answer and says yes, actually because I like to see new things, to visit new places, that is why I came here. Then Miss Daria is thinking in her mind that should I test his abilities, that is I should test his powers a bit. Then Miss Daria says to Russell, okay, will you help me in one small thing? Hearing which Russell gets a little confused. Then Miss Daria snaps her fingers and a flame type thing starts rising around Russell, and a flame tower symbol is formed on the just side of his dress. Russell says after seeing it, wow, is this the symbol of the tower? Then Miss Daria says, wow, is this the symbol of the tower? Daria tells Russell that don't worry, you can do all this too. Then the mission screen is shown in which it is written Mission Daria No White Test. Help Miss Daria to fight those pirates who are kidnapping many people. Then Russell says pirates. Then the scene changes and we are shown the scene inside the ship. Here some people are kept captive and kept in a cage or a box tap. Then Miss Dar is coming in the ship with Russell. She is telling Russell that they will station their ship near the Maldiva, and yes, even though I could have done all these things alone, but we have to save those people as victims, and along with this, we need that ship in the same condition, and that is why we will do all this with proper planning. Then Miss Daria tells Russell that the attack we will do will be a deceptive attack, that is, the real intention will be something else, but we will show something else, that's why. Russell, you have to do all the other things very fast. Then Russell is thinking in his mind that if Miss Daria has asked me to do this thing, then it must be a test, and along with this, they reach very close to the ship. Then Miss Daria says to Russell that Russell, what is going to happen now can be a little tricky for you, so be careful. Then Miss Daria tells him again that okay. Russell, now I am going to distract them, and in that time you save those people. Then Miss Daria flies up with her magical powers and then tells Russell that okay, so now I am going to start. Go child, she is saying this with so much aggression that we can see that power in their eyes, that very bright light in their eyes, and when they go to the top, what about the light that shines after that? That is to say, it shines very brightly, and then this chapter ends here and the chapter starts, and those people come to know that they have been attacked. Then they panic and take out their weapons and attack Miss Daria, but their attack is not able to reach Miss Daria. The shield type that was created around Miss Daria in pink color was easily stopping their attacks. Then Miss says, you fool, have you people tried to hide in my hometown? How did you dare to do that? Alright, let's see what is so special about you people. After Daria says this, Mr. Daria creates a small fireball type thing in her hand which looks like a mix of flour and fireball and drops it in the ship. Then there is chaos here. Those people get a little scared. They say, what is this? What do you mean by throwing this fireball? Then a man burns with that fireball, but as that fireball was made of magical powers, the man does not die by burning and becomes like a small burning soldier because Miss Daria's origin is dwarf of burning wood. Then 3 to 4 people get burnt and become dwarf of burning wood. Then Russell enters the ship from behind. After that, while watching this, he thinks that wow, they have turned into this thing. Mr. Daria is amazing. Then one of those people is a dwarf. The dwarf tries to attack the dwarf, but nothing happens to him, and then the dwarf touches the man and the man also turns into a drum. Then Russell's scene is shown in which Russell says that this is not the time to be so happy. I should go and save those people. While Miss Daria is distracting them, I have to take them out from there. Then Russell comes to the place where all those people are locked up. Before Russell reaches this place, we are shown the scene of the same place where all the people were locked up. A man was sitting outside and taking care of them. He had a sword type thing in his hand. A small sword. Then those people who were locked in that cage could hear Russell's footsteps. Then he says that maybe those Navy people have come to save us. Now we will be free. After which the same man who was guarding this place takes a small sword in his hand and says that whoever you are, you people will never be free. Understand this thing. As soon as he says this, Russell's hand comes on his neck from behind. Then Russell says lightning. After this a very strong electricity hits him and then he falls down there itself due to that electric shock. Then Russell thinks here itself, as he had thought, there was no one to guard above, there was only this one there, the people who are locked in the cage. One of them says, have you come here to save us? Russell says yes, of course, but before that all the pirates who are fighting above should be finished there itself, so that it will be easy to get you people out of here. Then the one who is locked inside the cage says, oh God, I thank you a million times, you have heard my prayer. Then after this Russell says, there are many more here who are locked in this cage. Then he tells that there is also a small child here who is being sold. Russell gets very angry on hearing this, very much, and then that sea is there, the robbers come and ask who is there. Then their leader tells his 2 companions to catch him. Here Russell uses his lightning magic power to make a chain, which wraps all 3 of them, and then all 3 of them get electrocuted and fall down on the spot. The name of this attack is chain lightning. Then one of those 3, who is lying down, tells Russell, okay, you are on the table, wait a bit. Then our captain was saying this when Russell gives him another lightning power shock and silences him right there. Then Russell moves forward and reaches a different type of basement and asks what type of cage is this. Then a voice comes from inside that cage, oh so you have come from the magic tower. Then Russell turns on the light in his hands to see who is inside the cage. Then he sees that there are Alps inside this cage. One of those Alps comes back to Russell. He says, oh so you are a person with magical powers who came from the magic tower. Russell says, oh no, this symbol is just like that. Actually, the elf says this while looking at the symbol on his chest. Then Asal says, oh no, I am just an ordinary member of the magic tower and nothing else. Then that elf says with a very rude and arrogant behavior that okay, then open the door. Hearing this answer, Asal thinks that he can open the gate, but his way of talking is very arrogant. Then that elf says, just stay in your manners. Then a female elf from behind says, Ilo, which is the name of that arrogant elf. After that female elf tells him that he is not an ordinary human being. He is such a human being who can take his human powers to the highest level and whose light power comes from the rays of the sun. Russell is a little surprised to hear all this. Then he says, I will open the gate, but his way of talking is very arrogant. Female elf finally says that I can smell the fragrance of those souls from it, and with this chapter number 12 ends here. So in the last of chapter number 12 we saw that the female elf says that I can smell the fragrance of souls from it. So now with this chapter number 13 starts from here, in which the male elf is saying that this is not an ordinary human being. What do you mean by saying this? Then the female elf says that I can feel that the fragrance of souls is coming from it. Then the male elf says that it is impossible that a human being can smell the fragrance of souls from it. This cannot be possible. He smells himself on the elf to see what kind of smell it gives. Then the same male elf says to Russell, Master of the Flame Tower, please get us out of here, we request you to do so. Then all the elves say the same thing, we request you to get us out of here. Then Russell thinks that how did those elves, who are known for their pride, agree so quickly on the request of this female elf? She must be their head or something like that. Then Russell is opening their gate. Then the female elf is talking to him, okay, listen, have you heard the rest of the pirates and their bosses? Thinking about this, he says, boss. Then the female elf says, yes, boss, she is many times more dangerous than them. Even my soldiers, who were much better in human strength, are many times more dangerous than them. Along with the female elf telling this, we are also shown that boss in this scene. Then the scene changes and the scene of the ship is being shown where the rest of the soldiers means and the rest of the pirates are fighting with those burning small soldiers. Seeing this, the main boss, whose name is Don Click, says that how cute are those small fire dolls. Then he takes out his sword and in a blink of an eye, means shifts his speed from his position and cuts down those small fire flame dolls with his speed and says to the rest of his people that you people were taking so much time to fight this thing. Seeing this, those people become happy and say that wow, our boss has come, our captain has come. Then looking at Miss Daria, he says that our captain has come. Now you cannot escape. We will cut you into small pieces. Seeing this, Miss Daria is thinking that it is interesting. Then Miss Daria also comes straight from the air to the ship in a blink of an eye and stands there. Seeing this, Don Click is thinking, so you are reducing the distance between us. Then Miss Daria says that why does it look like you are the captain of this ship? Then Don Click replies that yes, I am the captain of the ship. My name is Don Click, and then a Ra is seen coming out from around Don Click, an energy, seeing which Miss Daria says that it looks like you are using your Ra. You must be a knight. Then what are you doing here? Then Don Click replies to this in a very funny way and says that was it the job of us knights to feed people and pay their taxes, but now we are earning good money by bargaining and selling people. Then Miss Daria thinks a little and says brothers. Then Don Click takes out his sword and attacks Miss Daria very fast. Then the scene changes and we are shown the scene where Russell is killing the rest of the elves. He is saving them, opening their gate. Then here a strong attack comes from behind Russell with a swat, from which Russell escapes through his shield, but there he sees his weapons fallen down, which are badly broken, and here is Ton Click's brother. Then he says to Russell, you blocked my arrow, oh wow, the magician of the flame tower. Then while saying this he is moving towards Russell and Russell is thinking while looking at him that this energy is coming out of it. Is this a knight? Then here the mission screen is shown in which it is written that boys, it will be difficult to defeat this warrior, but whatever you do you have to defeat him. Then from here the female elf says from behind Russell, Guardian, be careful, he is the vice captain of the ship. Then here he says to Russell, so maybe it is a magician, but after all he is a child, you just knock them out, instead of killing them, you should have done one thing. I don't know if you have to win a battle against the opponent, then you have to finish the opponent, and now I will show you how it is done. So here both of them were ready for this battle, on one side the vice captain of this ship and on the other side Russell. Then here Russell holding his hand and using lightning power is thinking that seeing this aura around him, it seems that my flame magic fire power will not work on him so much. Then why don't you work on me? And then actually here he throws a strong lightning bolt on him and hits him. Then the vice captain says use lightning power and that too. Come on in front of a sportsman, you used your brain a little bit. Saying this he blocks Russell's attack by turning his sports and then crossing Russell's attack very fast. He is moving forward towards Russell. Russell is very surprised here. He thinks, how did my attack not work on him? Then the vice captain is moving forward towards him saying, no child, this will not work on me, and then he is moving forward crossing Russell's lightning attack with his sword. Here his sword was not made of steel, seeing which Russell understands that it is a non-conductor thing, and then here he attacks Russell very strongly, in which Russell is saved at that time due to his shield, but he sees that there were cracks in his shield, and then that attack of the vice captain goes inside breaking the shield of Asal and then sleeps. Here chapter number 14 starts from the same place where we saw Miss Daria and Don Click fighting on the ship, where we saw their last scene where Don Click attacks Miss Daria with his sword, but here Miss Daria converts into a flame due to which his attack goes through him, and then Don Click thinks flame and then standing up and says to Miss Daria, you are very good at running away from the table of the magic tower. Then Miss Daria says to him, can I ask you a question? Your brother, who is a knight, is he in good condition right now? To which Don Click replies, oh yes of course, but he is not as good as I am. Here again those small fire dolls are moving towards Don Click, seeing which Don Click says, this flame drop, oh not again friend. But then here Miss Daria's scene is shown in which she says, no, rather this time they will be very different from before. After this here, Don Click is a little surprised seeing them, because now they were not looking like ordinary statues of fire and now they were moving with double the speed.